Yes, the Christmas season is coming closer with its festive celebrations, homecomings, and happy holiday memories. Along with these cherished moments, how can we forget all the great food we will be eating? Food was also an important part of a medieval Christmas, though the season was quite different compared to modern celebrations. Medieval English Christmas began well before dawn, with a full 12 days of holidays to follow. During this time, eating, drinking, playing, and attending Mass were common activities, though gift giving was not as prominent as today. At this time, we thought remembering Christmas feasts in medieval England for royalty and nobility would get your appetites ready. For those of you that admired how English peasants celebrated with Christmas food, watch our previous episode with the link provided in the description. Now then, a rich household's medieval English Christmas food. Christmas food of medieval English royalty. How can anyone today imagine the unbelievable Christmas food of medieval English royalty? Well, honorable mentions go to the following kings. In the year 1213 AD, King John of England hosted a Christmas feast which, according to royal administrative records of the time, showed he spared no expense. On one order alone, he purchased 24 hogsheads of wine, 200 heads of pork, 1,000 hens, 50 pounds of pepper, 2 pounds of very expensive saffron, and 100 pounds of almonds, in addition to other spices, napkins, and linens. Medieval English King Henry V held a Christmas feast which included wild boar, prawns, sturgeon, crayfish, roasted meat, eels, and dates in a spiced cream. Another medieval English king, Henry III, held a Christmas feast which was noted as including 40 salmon, along with heaps of boar meat, venison, and lamprey. Now we shall leave the castles of royalty and visit Christmas feasts of medieval English nobility and wealthy medieval English households. Medieval rich and nobility Christmas dinners. When you were given the special invitation to attend a Christmas feast at a noble English manor, you would notice a few items of interest upon arriving. At first you would admire the wonderfully decorated holly and ivy covered great hall and its stately high wooden beams. And then you would marvel at fascinating displays made from expensive sugar and wax to resemble animals, castles, and angels. Suddenly, a hearty smile would curl your lips as you approached the delicious smells where the grand feast would be held. Neatly arranged at huge dining tables were the eating utensils for fortunate guests. Each person would have a knife, spoon, and a large pewter plate known as a trencher, which would hold your meats. You would share a finger bowl for washing your hands with your dinner partner, since everything except liquids were eaten with your hands. There would be another bowl for liquids, which were mainly soups, broths, and weak stews, which would be your first course. The expensive item of salt would also be in a small bowl to flavor your dishes. In medieval times, people believed it was better to ease your digestion and to heavier dishes. Therefore, the second course would be a heartier stew containing vegetables like leeks. It was with the third course one would see meat dishes. For the special Christmas occasion, these choices of meats would be of finer quality than those presented at regular meals. The kinds of meat on offer would be wonderful. Oftentimes, these foods were prepared to appear as if still alive. To achieve this, meat was skinned and roasted over large fires on spits. Then another skin was sewn onto the prepared meat. When served, it would seem as if people were eating contents from inside the animal, which were usually stuffed with other foods. The exotic peacock would be the fanciest of these prepared birds because of their beautiful feathers when reattached to the prepared meat. Peacock and swan were the highest choices of bird for the upper classes, and both were prepared in this elaborate manner. However, the rare offering of swan would first require the king's permission to be granted before it could be obtained. Various kinds of special meats would be presented for Christmas festivities. These included woodcocks, legs of mutton, lamb, capon, suckling pig, veal, lark, crane, goose, and venison. They would be covered in butter and saffron to make an appetizing golden color when served to guests. Expensive imported spices like cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, and pepper would also flavor these meat offerings. Sauces thickened with breadcrumbs were added to many dishes, containing ingredients like wine, herbs, and spices. A special type of pork would often be served for the traditional Yuletide feast in wealthy medieval English households. The boar was a highly prized target of medieval hunts because it was difficult to capture and kill. At Christmas feasts, the roasted boar's head, prepared some weeks before its presentation, would be a delicacy. To prepare, its skin would be stuffed with bacon, roasted meat, and spices in alternating layers before being sealed. Afterwards, it would be wrapped in cloth and boiled on a layer of carrots, parsnips, and onions. Next, after cooling overnight, the boar's head was covered in warm lard and black ash to appear as fur, and rosemary sprigs were added for tusks. Then, it was served on a large platter. Boar's head would often be served in thick slices with boar's brawn. Brawn was considered a choice cut of meat in medieval times. It was rich, fatty, and dark in texture. To prepare, the meat was first deboned, then wrapped in string and softened by boiling. Afterwards, it was drained, cooled, and preserved in cider, ale, or wine, ready for serving. Fish such as herring, trout, and salmon would be on offer at these special Christmas feasts. Seafood would also be available, like eels, oysters, and crabs. Various kinds of large decorated or plain Christmas pies would also be available for eating. The ingredients inside could be apples, pears, meats, or cheeses, with the pie shapes often taking the form of these contents. These ingredients were pre-cooked, then heated in the pastry oven before being served to guests. The pastry was not usually eaten, and the pies would be served either open-faced or closed. Various types of bread would also be on offer. Medieval rich Christmas desserts. Desserts for the upper classes at Christmas consisted of pastries, nuts, custards, tarts, and exotic candied fruits like oranges, dates, almonds, and figs. Dessert would often be accompanied with a spiced wine. Mince pies were another Christmas dessert available in wealthy medieval English households. Small and rectangular in shape, they were flavored with spices such as cloves, cinnamon, and nutmeg to represent the gifts of the three wise men. These medieval pies were made with spices, fruits, and shredded meat. For those that appreciated a good mince pie, it was considered lucky to eat one on each of the 12 days of Christmas. Medieval English plum pottages consisted of flour, eggs, milk, butter, suet, breadcrumbs, treacle, and dried fruit. Its consistency was more like a pottage, and was served near the beginning of meals in medieval times. Medieval rich Christmas drinks. Wine was the alcoholic drink of choice for medieval English royal and noble households, with great quantities imported mainly from French vineyards. Red or white varieties of a young vintage were consumed from a cup shared with one's dinner partner. Sugar or honey were often added as a sweetener. Compared to modern wines, the alcohol content was lower. Cider would also be available, as was ale, though ale was frowned upon by wealthy English households. During medieval times in England, wealthy households would indulge in displays of their vast riches through generous hospitality, fancy displays, and great feasts. The grandness of these banquets, usually held in the great hall of their manor or castle, was limited only by the resources of the host. In many instances, Christmas for the upper classes was a time of year when they showed goodwill to those less fortunate. This is a lesson of a medieval rich English Christmas feast that we should continue to remember for years to come. Thank you for supporting us at Medieval to Modern. Please be sure to watch our next episode or one shown at the end of this video. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and spread the word about this channel so we can create more exciting content. I wish you good tidings as we remember that sharing knowledge has been a noble deed throughout the ages.